I remember you being really disappointed that I didn't put you on skates.
I'm very disappointed. They would have been really good. I'm good at skating. I practiced leading up to that. I went ice skating at the arena like the week before.
Yeah, but wouldn't you have been the only one who would skate out of the five of you that came?
I think a couple of them know how. I think a couple are rusty, but I remember some of them were like, "Oh, I'm willing to go practice." Like if we had been given the go ahead, we were totally going to go do like a team day beforehand and prepare for it.
Okay, well, next year, whenever the season comes back, I'll make sure you go for a skate beforehand, and then we'll
All
put you
right.
on skates on the ice. That's a deal. You have that from me.
Yeah,
That's a deal.
I'll practice my shot so I can get it off the ice this time.
Well, you were there, stood in the corridor doing the stick handling stuff. We
I'm good at the
definitely.
stick handle. It's getting the puck off the ice that's the problem. If it was a floor hockey puck, I could.
And Sophie was a natural at that.
She was sick. So was her son. Oh, good.
They didn't mess with. She got it. I've been told forever that the hardest thing to do is get the puck off the ice, and she's just
Yeah,
there, just going it straight away. Just
I
everything
know.
was.
Um, to be fair, I've never played much ice hockey. Like I've maybe done it a few times when I was younger, but it's all floor hockey at home and ball hockey. So like with the plastic puck, it's easy. But
So when you're growing up in Vancouver, how much exposure did you have to ice hockey there? Because obviously that's Canada's national sport.
yeah, it's technically lacrosse is Canada's national sport,
Okay.
but hockey, that's just technical. Hockey is Canada's sport. That's
Every
like
day's
the
a
main
school
thing.
day.
Yeah. But it's well, okay, so it's bigger obviously on the East Coast and like in Quebec and stuff, that's massive. It's like a huge part. It's a bit more it's still huge in Vancouver, but it's a bit more widespread just because like the leagues are more spread out. But like my dad played and my brother played. So I mean I was always in ice rinks growing up. Like my dad would go to his games and we'd just be playing in the arenas and stuff. And my youngest brother played till he was probably like 20 or something like that. I'm not
Did
sure. But
Did
yeah,
you ever
it's
Did you ever go and watch games? Did you ever go and watch the Canucks?
Um, to be honest, I worked in their arena for like 5 years and I only went to watch them once, one game. I got to see a lot of them while I was working because I would obviously be in the arena, so I'd sneak in and watch some of the games. But yeah, usually no, I didn't have time because they played on times when I had football or like I just couldn't get there.
So was it always football for you? Was that always the only sport you ever did, or did you try other
Uh,
things?
no, I dabbled. Like when you're younger, like at home, you kind of play everything. In a league, I played softball. I guess you guys call it rounders.
Hmm.
But I did that for a season. I kind of dabbled with everything. But yeah, football's been like the main one for me. Back home, a lot of girls will do both sports, so they'll do football and softball, or football and lacrosse. Like you kind of do both, or you do one in the off season because they're opposing seasons. Um, but yeah, no, I just kind of stuck with football.
And was it always goalkeeper, or did you have visions of being a striker, scoring goals at any point?
I always say if I wasn't going to be in goal, I'd play up front. But I think most keepers say that probably because you kind of know what to look for. But no, I did start in goal, like, but you always do half and half growing up. And then I think when I was maybe 15 is when I decided to just stay in goal. But I played midfield, defense, and yeah, scored a few goals, not many, but a couple.
Well, what do you enjoy most about being in goal?
Clean sheets, making a sick save, doing something crazy where you make a huge save and everyone's like, and it's like a big camera save, but like it wasn't really that hard, but it looked cool.
It's a kind of. Do you think it's the same kind of like rush you get from making that big save to a striker does scoring a goal? Because I remember Lindsay saying she preferred that big crunching tackle where you take the ball away.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I think scoring a goal is sick, but like again, I don't really have that much experience with that. So I think as a goalkeeper, if I scored a goal, that would be cool. I've always had a dream of like running up on a corner and like heading the ball in like a diving header. I think that would be unreal. But no, just like a huge top bin save or like where you absolutely take someone out and like everyone's just like, whoa, that's crazy.
So who was your like? Is it football or is it soccer to you? Which is the correct term for you?
And I say football now because I live here, but it's soccer at home.
So who was your like football hero? Who was the one you looked up to? Was it someone like Christine Sinclair, or is it someone I'm not going to have heard of?
Actually, I went to the same high school as Christine Sinclair. I
Okay.
didn't go one bit older than me, but I went to Moscop in Burnaby. That's where she went. Um, I've played with a couple. Like I don't know if you've heard of Sydney LaRue. She plays for the U.S. national team,
I
but
think I
she's from
recognize this. I think I recognize the surname, but that's because I was looking at hockey rosters the
yeah.
other
I think
day.
she's Wire now because her husband plays on the men's team too. She's from Coquitlam, which is a team I also played for growing up. So I've played a couple games with her. Um, I don't know. I would say as a young kid, like I really liked Buffon and Casillas. So like they were kind of like when I was younger watching football, like we'd watch World Cups and things like that, and I just loved them. And I loved Buffon, how he always had matching keeper stuff. So I was like, yeah, I want to do that.
He like him and Cassius, they always kind of stood out because they always wore the short sleeves as well rather than the long sleeves that everyone else did.
I prefer short sleeve, to be honest, or like a 3/4 sleeve. That'd be cool.
Is that why you always roll yours up in all the pictures I've seen?
Yeah, I can't have long sleeve. It's just it's so uncomfortable for me. It's like a tick. I have to do it.
So what? So at what point did you want to then? Did you realize you were going to pursue football as like a career kind of thing?
Literally, I think it's kind of always been the plan because like the earliest thing I can remember, like I started playing when I was like 4, and it's just huge in my family anyway. Like everyone plays it. We're a really sporty family anyway, but I used to have like, you know how kids have like a little diary or like a journal? I literally remember writing in it like my biggest dream is to play in a World Cup. Like I wrote that when I was like a little kid. And so that's always been every decision I've made, like when I was in high school deciding which university I wanted to go to, it's all been based around football. So kind of like every big choice, like life direction choice I make is based around that.
And what team did you support when you were growing up?
We didn't really like have one. So we had the Vancouver Whitecaps. But I don't know. I didn't really watch. I actually didn't start watching it a lot on TV till I moved here. So I support the Spurs here, but that's only within the last 3-4 years. My family loves Celtic. So my mom's side, they're Scottish, and my cousins live next to Celtic Park. Her whole family's from Glasgow, so they're massive Celtic fans, which I guess by proxy makes me a Celtic fan. But I don't get to watch a lot of the games.
Obviously you're busy playing a lot and stuff, but what's like the best stadium you've been to?
The best stadium. Now that's, to be honest, City Ground is so nice. Like I've been to the Etihad in Manchester, and it's a massive stadium. Like it's a really impressive stadium, but I wasn't really impressed just because the atmosphere there is not great. Like there isn't really any. But City Ground's got like a really good atmosphere, and I remember when my second season at Forest, we got to do like a pitch walk where you go, you know, women's team goes down, you walk around, you do a lap. And I just remember like bending down and touching the grass because it was so nice. And I'm like, oh, I want to play on this. Like it's such good grass.
So how long have you been at Forest now then?
Well, I started with them in 2016 in like October or something because I moved here in August 2016. And then left the following year just after the season started because I had an injury. So I was just coming back from that, and I ended up leaving, when was it? Maybe November or something. And so I went to Villa for a couple seasons after that, and I just came on loan at the end of last season for the last 3 games. Or I dual signed with Villa and Forest and then came back, and now this is like my first full season back with them.
I'm happy to be back with Forest, I imagine.
Yes, very excited.
Well, you can't say no to that. You're employed by them.
That's the first club in England too. I've got a special attachment to them.
That's true. That's a very good point. So what injury did you have?
I tore my hip flexor. So the part the part of your quad that attaches to your hip. So you've got like 2 attachments there, and basically one of them is gone. I've only got one left. So the main one's gone.
How long does that keep you out for when that happens?
It was pretty brutal. They said like about 8 months roughly, but it's all stages. So like I couldn't walk for the first, they said you're not gonna be able to walk for the first couple months, but within a few weeks I was kind of like walking and going, and I was going in swimming pools a lot and doing like resistance stuff. So I came back a bit earlier than expected, but I couldn't, even once you start running and training and diving, like I couldn't kick a ball properly for probably 8 months, 9 months. I wasn't taking my own goal kicks for the first bit, and then when I did start taking them again, I couldn't take that many in a game, or like it would really hurt after. So it took about a year until I felt normal again. Like now I don't notice it. Like I can play normal, I can kick normal, and it's back to full strength. Surprisingly, considering it's half there.
Is it more of a, obviously the physical side of it's quite intense, but is the mental side almost more difficult? Like because you've had the game like taken away from you at that point.
Oh yeah, it was so brutal. It was my first season here too. It was like the County Cup final, which we won 1-0, thankfully, but we scored in like the 97th minute. So that was the game I got hurt in, and then I was really excited. But then after that, I just couldn't walk, and I was like, oh my god. Like at first, I didn't realize how bad it was. I thought I just like pulled something, And then when I went in, they did the MRI, they checked it all. They're like, yeah, you're out for a while. And they were going to do surgery, and then they didn't. And then they were going back and forth. And because it was the end of season and it was off season at that point, I think that was worse because I didn't have my team around me, obviously. And then management switched at that time too. So all the personnel changed. A bunch of the players left. I was also doing a dissertation at the time for my master's. I had to push data collection for that back. So it got pretty down, but my housemates helped me out of that, thankfully. But yeah, it was really tough mentally.
And then when you finally get back onto, I'm sure you remember the first game you got back onto the pitch after your injury.
The first game was it was a uni game, and it was a friendly. It was like a preseason friendly, and it was a preseason friendly, and I didn't take my own goal kicks. I had my defender take them. We won 3-0, so like it was pretty comfortable. Thankfully, I didn't have to do much. My first like proper game back, I think I was still with Forest. I played like the end of a game. It was the last 20 minutes against Leicester City, I think it was. And yeah, it's just I felt confident enough in the game. It's just when you kick, so like the movement, you don't feel as fit as before too, because you're being kind of careful with movements. But for me, it's more the kicking, because I injured it while kicking. It was while I did a goal kick. So
imagine it's the emotion that when you get back onto the pitch, though, like you realize how much you missed it once you actually get to back out there.
Yeah, definitely. I was just happy to be back out, because like every little minute that I got in, I was like, yeah, it's 20 minutes. Yeah, it's 15 minutes. Yeah, it's just the warm up sometimes, but like I'm getting back into it step by step. And like, eventually I know I'm going to be strong enough to play a full game. So.
I'm sure if you watched the one of these I did with Lindsay, that I'm a bit all over the place with how I ask questions and things, because I don't go in with much information. I just wing these entire things. But that was kind of Lee's fault, because Lee should have given me information on Lindsay and he never sent it through. But then
that's because you don't care about us now. No, I'm kidding.
I liked how it ended up. It was all a bit crazy and all over the place, but I quite enjoyed the chaos of it all. That's what I think I thrive in better. So I'm going to go back in time again as to what led to the jump over this side of the pond.
To come here. So I'd already done my undergrad. I played in the States in Arkansas. I went to Arkansas State. They play in the NCAA in Div 1. And so I started in Canada for my degree at like a college called Douglas College. After 2 years, I got a scholarship to the States. So then went there, finished up the bachelor's, got the scholarship, all the football and everything. It was good. Then I just went home and I was kind of done, because obviously back home, I don't know if you know much about like NCAA and stuff, but here you can play uni for however long. Back over there, there's eligibility and you only get a certain amount of years, and you can only play for 4 years technically. So because I'd played 2 years in Canada and 2 years in the States, had I done a master's at home or anywhere else, I couldn't play football. So I hadn't actually thought of doing the master's. Like, it was something that I'm kind of like, oh, maybe I could. But I got a job as a cook. I was working in this restaurant downtown I worked there for 2 years before I moved here. So, I mean, I was living regular, like 9 to 5, or it was 7 to 3, cooking, playing football for fun, kind of like amateur level. And I just randomly, like, it just clicked one day. I was like, yeah, like, I don't know. I've stopped pursuing it. I feel like I'm just stagnating. I don't know. It's not so much that, like, I was happy and everything, but I just figured if I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it. And like, I'm going to regret not going for it. So like, worst case scenario, I fail and come home. So what's the problem? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes sense. And then obviously it's worked out for you so far.
Yeah. Well, I was only meant to come for a year. Now I've been here 4 years almost.
As I guess you're an honorary Brit now at this stage.
Yeah. I mean, I came on a student visa. I've changed to a different one because I've got family here. So I'm on a UK ancestry visa now. And they last 5 years, and then you can renew them as much as you want. So
have you started drinking more tea than coffee now?
No, I still drink a lot of coffee. Okay. I do drink than I did, but to be fair, my mom grew up, her parents are both Scottish, so she grew up drinking so much tea. Like, we were raised on a lot of tea. Except they have like one cup, and you put one bag in a cup. Back home, we'll make a whole pot and put a bag in that. So it's a bit stronger here. So that's the one difference.
And what would you say was one of the biggest things you miss about Canada?
Mountains and lakes, being right on the coast. I'm like Vancouver's just literally right on the west coast, and like I was talking to my dad last night, and we were both having dinner, so we're like comparing what we cooked, because my dad's like used to be a chef, and then obviously I've done a lot of cooking and worked in it, so we always like compare food things. But mine was like this pretty basic thing. It was like this veg bowl, and then he's like, oh yeah, I'm having prawns and scallops, and like he's naming all this seafood stuff, and I'm like, oh, that sounds so good. But apparently it's just really cheap right now because all the COVID stuff going on. No one's going in the shop, so it's just having seafood feasts every night. I miss fresh seafood.
So whenever you see when you see pictures of anywhere in like Western Canada, like from Calgary, Edmonton, that way, it's all mountains and snowy peaks and all things like that.
Oh yeah, I love like Vancouver. The one thing I love the best is we've got the best of both worlds. So it's pretty mild weather. Like the weather we've been having in Knots right now, this is kind of typical of like a summer's day back where I live. And then, but at the same time, like you could be downtown on the sandy beach getting a tan, and then there's like snowy mountains in the background. Like you're just looking at snowy mountains. It's so picturesque. Like it's our on our license plates it actually says beautiful British Columbia. So it's very scenic there.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, there's two places in Canada I want to go. One is Banff, because I've just seen pictures of Banff and it looks incredible. And the other place is that place in Edmonton where all the dinosaur bones are.
Drumheller, I've been there.
Please tell me it's amazing as I think it is.
No, it's pretty sick, although I was 10 years old, so obviously I'm like, yes, dinosaurs, cool. Like, it was so good.
I'm 29 and I'm still like, yes, dinosaurs, so cool. I love dinosaurs.
Well, they've got like a massive dinosaur museum, and they've got like all the Badlands in Drumheller. Like, it's cool. It looks really like post-apocalyptic, but it's really cool to look at.
Yeah, I need to get out there. I think my fear is if I go there, I'm not going to want to come back. I love all these dinosaur bones. I just want to stay.
Yeah, well, there's not much else going on in Alberta, if that helps. But
there we go.
Than that,
there we go. So then this season at Forest was a pretty special season for you girls, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's a shame it ended the way it did, because you were building towards something pretty special. Like, and that's just from me just being around. I think I came and saw 3 games, I think, and then obviously just being around you and having regular conversations with Lee and what he was planning and stuff like that. It just seemed like this big like momentum you had behind you this year.
I know, and we were kind of getting on a roll with games too. Like after, obviously we didn't have a great start of the season, but after that we just kind of kept going and going. Like when you did Lindsay's interview, it was around the time we were just about to play Burnley, and I remember like that seems so long ago now, but since then we've done so much and like won a lot of games, and it was looking really good, and then they just ended it, so that sucks. It's a bit disheartening.
I remember having Lindsay on here. She's still the only person ever to refuse to answer a question for me.
What was the question?
I can't remember, but she just sat there. I gave her the option between 2 things, and she wouldn't. I can't remember what they were, but she just went, "No, I refuse to pick between the 2." I was like, oh, "Okay."
Fair enough.
It made a good, funny moment, so I'll live with that.
All right.
Let's say just even having like when you 5 came down to watch our training session, like you could tell how like close knit you all are, and that really helps with everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy because like even we've all been quarantining and doing stuff. The chat has never been more alive as it has been. Like because I've been doing Deliveroo during this since I got furloughed at my other job. I've been able to get out and like do cycling and things for that. But because I have to have the app on my phone, I've had to mute the chats because they've got the players chat, the team chat, and then I've got like the uni chats. But like everyone's just piping up constantly and they're all talking in it. And by the time I get back after doing a shift, it'll be like 400 messages. And I'm like, oh my God. But like we've been doing quiz nights and Zoom workouts and everything. So yeah, it's continued through this. And it's a really close group. They always have been. I think that's what made it so good this year. Like everyone's friends on the.
And from talking to Lee, like the facilities and the training and everything you guys go through, it's almost like to a WSL standard from everything that I understand.
Oh yeah, I think like compared to even some of the championship and WSL teams, I think it's a better setup than a lot of them because it's kind of hit and miss in all the leagues. Like there's not really one standard because women's football is still building. So you'll have like the Man Cities and the Arsenals, and obviously they'll have really good setups, but then there's teams with lower budgets and they may be in the upper leagues, but they can't really necessarily afford to have the same kind of things that we get. So we're kind of lucky in that sense that we've got like a very professional setup, and it's comparable to the top leagues anyway.
So then you get teams like Manchester United who put a team in the 2nd division and just buy all the best players and get promoted straight away.
I mean, I imagine they have a bit more money than we do, but
just a little bit, just a little bit.
yeah, slightly.
Like, did
I heard about some of what their salaries were, and I was like, oh my god.
well, imagine they just paying to get them in, and then what surprised me was that what's her name, Alex Greenwood, she played there, and then as soon as
Yeah.
they got promoted, she just left and went to Leon, where everyone who's I don't know what I know I don't understand what like my mentality was why all the best players would go and congregate at one team and just dominate everything. To me, that's boring. But
Yeah. They win everything, though. They are really good. I'm not sure how much money they have, but I'm assuming they probably have loads too.
yeah, but that's why I like like salary caps like the NBA and stuff. So you can only have like 3 really good players, and then you have to build around those, and then it's more competitive kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, definitely.
could you obviously the big turning point in women's football that a lot of people point to at the minute was the last World Cup, that, like really
Yeah.
captured everyone's imagination. Have you felt a difference in how people perceive women's football and how they like how it's affected like the culture since then?
Yeah, I mean, like for me personally, because I've actually been lucky. I've gotten to go to the last 2 World Cups just because in 2015 we hosted it, so I volunteered during it, and I was at most of the games. Actually, I think I was at all of them. Maybe not for the whole game, but because I was usually working, then I'd come. But yeah, I got to be part of that, and then this year or last summer when they did it, we went to France. Me and a couple teammates, and just went and watched 2 of the games. But we were at the USA England game, the semifinal. And that was yeah. But compare the 2, and obviously being on different continents too, which was really cool. It was just massive. Like it was really massive in Canada, but mainly because we're right next to the States. So obviously whenever we played, the whole stadium was sold out, but it was mostly Americans. But just the hype of everyone from all these different countries too. Like when we went to France, we're right next to it, but the amount of like Americans, Canadians, like people from across the world that traveled to be there, like you wouldn't see that years ago. Like people do that for the Men's World Cup, but I wouldn't have ever seen that. Like we had some people like that when we hosted it, but it wasn't as much traveling, I would say. And I think it's just gotten massive now.
It's great. It's crazy how that one tournament's had like seemingly such an effect on the women's sport as a whole kind of thing. And I know what people were concerned about was that it would get forgotten about afterwards, but it doesn't seem to have. It seems to have actually built on the momentum that it built.
Yeah, no, I think just the fact that they're promoting everything more too, because like growing up playing and then like even in my adult life, like younger ones, the promo and PR stuff is pretty much non-existent. But now you've got like all these sick Twitter things going on, and like a lot of the media teams are emulating what the men are doing, so you're putting out similar things. So it's kind of like a one club approach, and then you get men's fans that are backing you, and it's just more buzzed about, like more talked about. And so I think that really brings a good attention to it.
Have you seen that difference in like the crowds like coming to watch you from like when you were first at Forest to this season?
Oh yeah, like massively. When I first came, we not get that many. There were some games that got big turnouts, to be fair, because my first year with them, we played Derby in the FA Cup, and I think there was like 1,200 or something. But then we played them this year in Pride Park, and I think we had like 2,300. So
wow.
That's just like, yeah, so, some of the games you get more than others, but the fact that they promo it so much online now, like when we had the Hull game at home, it was like this big hospitality event that they were promoting leading up to it, and we ended up getting like almost 600 people at the game, I think, at Eastwood.
Yeah. I was there. That was the whole hospitality thing was really, really, really fun. And I remember like talking to Lee afterwards saying, this is incredible. And then, then you went out, you won 5-1 or something.
Yeah, I think it was 5-2.
Yeah, so when Precious scored that back heel, I remember that very vividly.
Yeah, it was really sunny out, so that was good.
It was really sunny at that one. Then I came to watch you against Fylde, and it was freezing.
Yeah, that was the one where we scored the last minute winner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The first 2 goals were really amazing. I think it was Bex Rayner. She scored the one she went like through everyone.
Yeah.
Then I think you got like they scored this amazing goal from the edge of the box, like just because it was really windy.
I remember it. It went over my hand. I recall.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, just in case I forgot.
I never forget things like that. So
no, but I mean, obviously, I'm usually the one that it's going past. So
well, it's the same when you talk to a hockey goalie, though. Like they say, when we concede a goal, all the light they put spotlights on us. There's a big red light glowing behind us. You kind of got to just forget about it and move on.
I just move on. You look at the video after, but at the time you're just like, okay, I'm not going to think about that right now.
Well, it's like a striker can have 5 chances at one, but a goalie's only got 1 chance to make the right decision. Like
Oh yeah,
the pressure is
oh yeah,
so more intense in that one area.
yeah. No, yeah, and then when you have to rewatch it again and again in analysis too.
I bet that's fun, sitting there and explaining how and why that went in.
Yeah, well, I got the double whammy because our goalkeeper coach Amy, she had a GoPro, so every game she'd put it on the goal line. So I had a goal cam too, so I got to see the goals from 2 angles, which was very helpful. But at the same time, also kind of like, all right, cool, thanks, nice.
If no one else has to watch this twice.
I know, because that one didn't get posted. Like the team footage gets posted on the website that everyone looks at, and then mine just gets sent to me. Like she'll clip out and send in our chat, and it's just like, I feel a bit attacked right now, but I understand why. So
I hope she sends you the good saves as well.
yeah, no, she actually sent me one recently. I was like, oh, save of the season for me, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one. So those are nice. You get those nice moments.
So is there a moment in the season just gone that like stands out to you? Like, we'll pick a personal moment that you were a part of, and then a team moment kind of thing.
Like a personal moment in the season. Well, if you count preseason, because in preseason we played a lot of teams in higher leagues. So we played West Ham, and that was the clip she sent me recently. But it was like this, like top bin save, like they did a cross, and this girl's right in front. She put it top bins from like within the 6 almost. And I somehow got a fingertip to it, and it hit the corner and bounced out. But it looks really cool on video too. And I remember at the time everyone was like, oh my God. And I think just because that was before the season, that got me super hyped. Like I was just like, yes, this is going to be a good season. Like we can compete. So that one put me in a really good mindset. I think team moments, there's been a few though, because like we've had so many close games, but that were just clutch. Like there's been a few that we've won 1-0, and it's been like either a last minute goal or like when we played in Pride Park, Precious scored in like the 83rd or 85th minute or something. And that one was nuts. That's probably the top, because I mean everyone goes, that's the one I sprinted all the way up the pitch to the corner. Had the hug with the team. So yeah, that one was the big one. But there's been a lot, because we've had those really small margins and really clutch things. I think that's what we've been good at this season.
I guess the worst part of that was that you had to sprint all the way back.
Well, no, the worst thing is because I was sprinting up, and I could hear Lee and Andy on the sidelines, Asia, get back. And they're just yelling, because apparently there's a rule that if everyone's in the half, if they wanted to, they could have just started from kickoff right away and scored. Oh. So I did the hug, and then I'm just booking it back, like I'm like, oh no. But I was already, the thing is, when I heard them yelling, I was already like more than halfway there. So I figured I might as well, I can't turn back now. There's no way.
Oh God, it's the moments like that are the ones that you always remember. Those little things.
There's a photo of it too. There's like a play-by-play of me just running in, like, so that one's cool. That was my favorite team picture, I think, because it's all of us in the. I usually don't get to celebrate the goals, obviously.
Yeah, because like you girls, you're all like really active on social media. So you like interact with the club, you interact with fans and stuff. Like you're always jumping in and commenting on things, aren't you? Like you got a real, like there's a real close connection between you and the Nottingham Forest women's fan base.
Oh yeah, because like the ones that we see regularly, like they come, they come out of their way to come to the game, and they come watch us. They bring their kids, and like, it's really nice to see that kind of support. And obviously, we play a lot better when we've got people there, like cheering us on, and it just kind of just increases the vibe for everything. So we really do appreciate them coming out, and the fact that a lot of them travel like to Middlesbrough and places like that, and like when there's a game, there was one we were supposed to play Middlesbrough in the cup, and when we got there, the pitch was frozen, and we had fans that came up and traveled, and they came all the way there. And we ended up training on the pitch after, because they called the game, but it was this whole thing. But we ended up training for a bit after, and they stayed and watched us, and we got to like hang out with them and their kids, and it was really cool. So we really do just enjoy having them around.
I remember like looking on your like away. It was mainly away games. Like you'd be going away somewhere, and you'd be all these things. Then all of a sudden, this game's off because it's too wet. It's frozen. I've never seen so many games in something called off.
Oh, this season's been brutal for that. Not just us. Like luckily we have Eastwood, so like for home games, we're guaranteed probably that it's not going to get canceled because it's such a good venue. But there's other teams that have like terrible grass pitches, and like I know Sunderland had a bunch canceled. West Brom, Sheffield had most of theirs. There's some teams that barely played any games. That's why the standings now, there's like some teams have played 16 games, some teams have played like 12. It's just huge gaps because the pitches aren't great. There's some good venues, but there's some that leave a lot to be desired.
Yeah, I remember. I think one of the last games you played, I can't remember where you were. But there was a pic. They do the video on Twitter where you like walking out onto the pitch, and obviously you're
Yeah,
the goalie, so you go like second after Lindsay, and like you're
yeah.
just covered in mud down your
Oh, yeah.
legs.
No, yeah,
That
just from the.
that can't be fun.
No, like, okay, it's the first dive that's the word. We always say that. We're like, all right, time to get muddy. Like, this is it. So, you make your first dive in the warm-up a good one because you're like, I might as well get coated because I'm about to, and then that way I can just go all into the warm-up game. But the worst is when you do the warm-up, and then obviously if you're not playing, so like the ones where we've had when you're covered in mud and stuff, and then I gotta go like sit on a bench, So that one's not great. But the thing is, your top stays clean because you warm up in your warm-up top. But your shorts and your legs, you can't see them, non-existent.
No, that's it. They're gone. You have to do what like Garbo Kirai did, like playing sweatpants or something.
Yeah, I don't know if I could. Same with the long sleeves. I can't wear the long pants. Like I can't. It just feels restricting. I don't know why.
And so there's a lot of positive like feeling around Forest as a club in general, like men's and women's side at the minute. Do you feel like part of is it all like one big like family kind of thing, like all working towards common goals all
Yeah,
over the place?
I think there's some clubs like I was saying about Man City. Like a lot of their fans are probably from abroad and stuff like that. So when I went there, like I said, there's no atmosphere. Like I felt like I think it was a Spurs game I was watching, and I could hear the away fans more, and I was up in the nosebleeds. So like anything Forest related, people from here, they just like love it. Like they absolutely love it. And I love the passion that everyone has for it. And like the people that support the men's, they do support us too. And whenever they hear stuff about us, you can see on social media people commenting. And even if they don't watch the women's game, like they'll always kind of cheer us on or make little comments if we're doing well and stuff like that.
Well, that's the thing. As long as they're making those comments, they're paying attention to it, kind of thing. Then that's what will
Yeah.
eventually lead them to going to watch.
Well, yeah, and I think because the men, like our media team and the men's media team work really close together too. So like we share the same kind of graphics, and the way they put information out, they do it in a very like the same way. So it is kind of very one club. And when you see stuff online, you can't tell if it's from the women or the men's because it's all the same kind of graphics, just different players, obviously.
I think you can really tell where the Nottingham Forest women's team is going. Because like I think you're one of the only teams in the league or something that's got your own sponsorship on the front of your shirts, like exclusively for you.
Yeah, the showcase one, right?
I remember I went to watch a film at the showcase, and then before it all started, they put on one of the next game graphics, and had like Lindsay's face, had like Lindsay's face on it. I was like, I was just sat with her for an hour last week.
Yeah,
It's the
I know.
weirdest.
No, like in preseason they did this promo it was like for the apparel or whatever, and Georgia and Precious got to go do it. But the two of the men players were there. I think it was Maddie Cash and Joe Worrell, I think. But they did like this photo shoot with them, and then they're walking through town after, and we're like, huh, there's G on Vic Center. Like she's on the big billboard, and it's really cool. Like it's just, it makes you feel like they really actually care about you as players too. You're not just like, oh, it's just the women's team. Like genuinely they care.
And they do send you out to events and community things as well. So you are active parts of the club doing all things like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like it's not where it's a requirement because a lot of clubs they'll be like, oh, you have to do so many appearances or whatever. With this, they just put it out there like, oh, who wants to do this? Like they'll offer it, and then people volunteer readily because we're happy to do it. But it's not like a requirement thing, and I think that's what makes it just you want to help the club because of how much they do for us. Like obviously, we're happy to do that kind of stuff, and it's fun. Usually, they get you to do fun event stuff.
Like going to watch the Panthers train, which is an excellent segue for where I want to go next. How quickly did you jump at that opportunity?
Huh?
How quickly did you jump at that?
I was probably the first person to respond. I was just like, and I'm not great at responding in the chat, but I just saw ice hockey and I'm like, yes.
So how did you find it when you came down? You saw the arena, the changing rooms, all things like that.
I thought it was really cool. Like I'd never, like I said, since I moved here, everyone keeps being like, have you seen the Panthers yet? And I can't go usually because I work Saturday nights. And then the ones they have weekdays, I've got football usually. So I've just unfortunately not been able to go see them yet, but it's something that's been on my list literally since I got here. So going in and like seeing the whole facilities and it was really cool. And the behind the scenes stuff too, the change room was unreal.
And then Tim, I couldn't thank Tim enough for how, like, he was awesome with you guys.
He was great.
Yeah.
I thought he was Canadian when I first heard him, but I mistook the Alaskan accent.
Yeah, he's Alaskan. He lives in Sweden most of the year these days.
Yeah. Oh,
So
still.
yeah, he's in Sweden at the minute 'cause his wife's Swedish, so he lives.
Uh,
He's with her.
yeah, because he played in Sweden, didn't he?
Yeah, he played there for quite a few years. I remember him telling me he was taking part in like some midsummer festival, and it was just
Yeah.
after the film Midsummer had came out.
Okay.
And I said to him, "I'm terrified of your wife now because I don't want to meet."
I've never known what it's about, but I'm assuming it's something scary.
Yeah, it's terrifying. It's 3 hours of just being in a constant state of dread.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna watch that. I love horror movies.
It's on
Great.
Amazon Prime, so you should definitely get on it.
Okay, I do have Amazon Prime, so I'll check it out.
It's on for like I say, it's like 2.5 hours. It's a very intense psychological thriller.
Best kind.
It's just absolutely, absolutely bizarre. But no, next year we're definitely going to get you on some skates on the ice and some
Lit.
of your
Yeah.
teammates, and we're definitely going to get some guys down to training with you, so you can let them score like you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try and save it though, because I feel like they have a bigger goal, so it's not fair if I just like let it go.
Yeah, well, no, thank you for taking the
Better
time.
ball than we are at shooting.
I don't know. I got told one of them who wanted to go and play football was actually pretty bad. He was just all talk about how good he was.
Oh, fantastic.
Because
That should be fun.
one of the players told me, "Can we go and do this? Because I want to prove to him that he's rubbish." And that's what the whole
Yeah.
conversation was about. And I was like, "It will all be on camera. Don't worry. So if anyone's good or anyone's bad, it's gonna live forever."
Maybe someone could knock over a pile of balls like I did with the sticks
That
too.
was the
Stack
first.
balls.
The first thing I did when you did that was turn around and make sure Matt was filming it, and I was so happy that he was.
When it came in the video, I was like, wow, of course.
I wanted it as the opening shot. You should be blessed that he put it in a few after the opening shot. I wanted it front and center.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
I'm
just,
pretty clumsy.
well, you were clumsy, and then I got told you were the one who lived closest to the rink, and yet you were the last one there.
Yeah, because I thought it was like a 5-minute walk, and it was like a 6-minute walk, 7-minute walk. So, actually, I can see the arena like out my window. It's that close.
And you've been the day before to go ice skating.
Yeah.
Fine, I accept your excuse. That's absolutely fine.
It's all right. We were there with time, I think. I hope.
Yeah, you were there with plenty of time. If you remember, it got changed the night before.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because I was
See,
free.
I feel bad. Liv lives kind of far away. Liv goes to uni in Sheffield, so she takes the train. I don't know if she stayed over the night before, but I think she came right from there, so she had a bit more to travel than me.
Because I was freaking out the night before because Tim messaged me saying, "We've got this thing tomorrow, but do you know we're training at this time?" I was like, "No, you haven't told me training's changed." I was like, "Why didn't you tell me training has changed times? Why haven't you sent us a new schedule through?" And I'm there texting Lee at 11 at night going, "I am so sorry, but training is an hour earlier and 15 minutes shorter."
Yeah. I mean, it worked out anyway.
It worked out. It was one of the most fun days at training. Like, because for when people come and watch training for us, it's like special. But like for like me or people who work for the team, it's like you go and watch training every day, and it's like they're just training again. Like
Well,
that was a really fun day. I remember.
Yeah, and like most of the girls, because they don't like a lot of them didn't really know a lot of the rules of ice hockey, so that was cool because we could watch it and then I could like talk about it and stuff. And no one ever wants to talk about ice hockey here, so that was really good.
I'm sure they were all talking about it for like a week afterwards, at least, or something. We had to be the talk of the Forest dressing room after that.
Yeah, well, we were telling everyone like, oh, you guys should have like volunteered to come. It was sick. It was really good.
Well, we're gonna do it again.
We all went and had a breakfast together after, so that was good.
Well, we're gonna do it again next year. Whenever everything turns back to normal, we're gonna do it again. We're gonna get you to an actual game. It's actually gonna happen.
Yeah, I was so excited for that. I was like, finally, my time has come to watch the Panthers play. But no, it didn't happen.
And you've got your hat that you can wear at the games.
I was about to wear that for this thing, and my boyfriend's wearing it for his meeting right now, so I couldn't. Well, he has another two, but he couldn't find the other two, because I was like, oh, you can wear the Panthers one.
Yeah, I'm starting to sweat under this a bit because it's sunny outside, but I need to have like some merchandise on show, and my hair's a mess. So
I need to reattach the bobble. I've actually got the bobble here. the button part fell off, so the button's still attached to the hat, but the button part fell off this. I need to sew it back on.
I'm glad Lee gave them you and didn't keep them for himself though.
Yeah, I was so happy when he gave us those. I was like, yes, toques. I love toques. It's my favorite.
I heard that word for the first time this year.
Really?
Yeah, the goalie went in net when you were shooting at him. He said, "Can you get me this for my girlfriend?" I was like, "What's that?" I was like, what's a toque? And he goes, that thing, that. And he pointed at me, I went, I mean, a hat. He went, no,
Well, the one,
a woolly hat. I was like, oh, okay.
the one we were shooting against, he's from Kelowna, isn't he?
Yes. He's
Yeah,
out there.
okay. Cool.
He's out there now, I believe.
Yeah, I was going to go home, but I had flights booked for June, but I don't think that's happening at this point.
No, I think you're in Nottingham for the foreseeable future now.
Yeah, probably.
No,
I mean, it's on.
Well, he's meant to run like hockey camps and things out there, but
Kelowna is massive for that. They do, people from the States come up, and it's like a huge thing. That's like one of the hockey capitals in BC.
It's like he's played for Belfast, Sheffield, and us. Now his brother played for Sheffield. His dad coached Cardiff, Sheffield, and so his family's been entrenched in the elite league for years and years and years.
Yeah, I knew a guy that played in Kelowna that I went to high school with. I think he ended up playing back east, but just juniors. I don't think he ever went pro. I think he was like semi-pro for a while.
Because Jackson's technically a Brit as well, so even though he's got that thick Canadian accent, he qualifies as a British player because he played juniors over here. Because it's all about your distinction of whether you're an import or a Brit is where you trained. So if you played one season of junior ice hockey in the UK before you played in Canada, you're a British player.
Yeah.
So,
okay. That's not even about just nationality.
No, it's all about where you train, where the first place you train was. It's like we've got a player, Brett Pellini. He first played in Guildford, but his brother is younger than him, so his first team was in Canada. So his brother doesn't qualify as a British player, but he does. So it's some insane, crazy rules.
Because after we came for that training day thing, I was curious after like what the percentage of Canadian Americans on the team. So I looked up all the players, and I was looking at, and some of them had the dual flag thing, and it said British in Canada or British in the States. So that makes sense.
Yeah, and then you've got the players who have like ancestry passports where you're still Canadian, but you can play for the British national team.
Okay, I think I've got that too. Like if I was to play for GB and something, I think I could. I think, I'm not. I've played for like England unis, so like I represented England for that. So I guess you're allowed. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's like you could, if you're an ice hockey player, you could play for the Panthers, but you'd be an import player, but you could qualify to play for Team Great Britain. Which is crazy.
So weird. That is crazy.
We've got some crazy rules in our league. But
must be like an ice hockey thing.
Well, it's the same. It's the same everywhere. Like you'll see a lot of like in Italy, they've got like, oh, so and so, like Sam Johnson. He's got an Italian passport from somewhere. Like, and then their Italian like national teams like Mike Sullivan, Sam Johnson, Max Jones. It's like, really?
Just keep nothing at all.
Well, it's because it's easier to get into that national. If you're a decent ice hockey player, if you go and play in Italy for 5 years, get a passport, it's easier to get into that international team than it is to break into Canada's team. So it just makes sense.
No, that's true. Well, it's like that with football too. Like I could qualify for playing for America because my dad's American, but like that's so hard to break into that setup. So probably never gonna happen.
Yeah, well, you never know. You got a dream.
It's true, but I could also qualify for Scotland and Costa Rica, so I feel like if it came down to it, I'd go for one of those.
Costa Rica probably the one to go for because you get to play their home games in Costa Rica. That'd be the benefit.
That is true. They're decent too. They were just playing in. I think they were just doing qualifiers for the Olympics, something like that.
Yeah, well, that's another thing that's been robbed of us, isn't it? The Euros were meant to be this summer, weren't they?
I know it was going to be the summer of sports, and now it's all done. Yeah, I think they've just pushed.
It's going to be next year. But we were planning to go because I think the City Ground missed out on hosting one of the games.
Yeah.
But then I think we were a few of us were planning to go to Bramall Lane to watch it at Sheffield.
Oh yeah, I've played there.
So we were going to go up there and watch it, but then we're like, oh, surely Forest has got to get a game around here. This is like the biggest, best stadium in the middle of the country. It's the easiest place to get to out of everywhere. We're like, oh no, they didn't get one. Excellent. No, but you did get that domestic competition.
Yeah.
Where Chelsea came down, didn't they? And they played the final against.
Oh yeah, they did for the women's. It was the Conti Cup final. Yeah, I think they played Chelsea and Man City or Arsenal.
I think it was Arsenal. I think Chelsea won, didn't they, in the last minute or something? I think Beth England scored. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a huge credit to Forest's women's division that the FA were willing to put that game in Nottingham.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. It was big. Like we all I didn't get to go because I had work, but everyone on the team went, and they got them like nice box suites, and they got to go watch the game from there, and like in the executive suite. So that's really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. So is it just with your delivery? Is that how you're keeping fit at the minute with all your Zoom sessions?
Yeah, luckily right before everything broke loose, I just applied because I'd been wanting to do it last year, but they weren't hiring. And then I was like, I just got a bike. And I was like, I used to cycle all of the time in knots, and then my bike got stolen. So I was like, it was so good for keeping my legs strong. So I was like, plus it's good to get out because you're not allowed out really except to do exercise right now. And like the fresh air is nice, and just being able to, plus it's really like kind of makes you feel good because people are ordering food and you're kind of helping bring them food. So like I've made some deliveries to the hospital and like bring to the nurses and stuff. So that's really nice. But yeah, other than that, we've been doing team workouts. We'll do like circuit training and stuff on weekdays on Zoom. But other than that, I've been doing just a few hours of delivery every night.
How have you found the team workouts on Zoom? Is it the same intensity? Is it a bit more? Because I imagine it's more about personal wanting to keep going rather than people motivating you.
Well, so I just personally really love group workouts because I just feel like it's so much easier having someone just in front of you doing a thing and you're just imitating them. Like it's so much easier than just doing it yourself and keeping your own cadence and stuff. But no, it's good because you get to see everyone's faces and, you know, have a bit of a chat after. And like, it's our trainer, Marcus, he runs it really well. He'll make it like varying difficulty. So some of them are really tough. It'll be circuits of like 40 seconds for an exercise, then like 20 seconds off, and you just go through that a few times. On Friday, this past Friday, we did like a yoga flexibility one, and that was really nice because like my legs were in bits because I'd done like 3 training sessions the days before that because with uni and stuff, and then I'd been doing delivery like every night, so my legs were just dead. It was so good to stretch. That's my one problem. I probably don't stretch enough.
You kind of need that as a goalie. It's like you're stretching all the time.
It used to be very, it's like I feel like my hamstrings are just tight all the time, but it's probably the increase. But also what they've done is they've sent out, so they've kind of, people are doing their own training too, and Marcus sent out like, you know, asking each player, send me what you're doing individually so I can tailor like an off-season plan for you based on what you're currently doing and what you kind of want to have as goals. So like he's asked us all that. So they're kind of already starting, like preseason's basically already started for us. The one good thing is we get extra preseason time now that everything's ended.
So you're going to hit the ground running when everything gets back to normal.
Yeah, because last year, obviously, they had all the, you know, Andy coming in and changing all the setup and everything like that. We didn't get that much time together. Like, he just came in, and then we had, like, a few weeks, and bam, season started. And we had, like, 13 new players or something crazy. So, I mean, it was kind of a lot all at once. And I think it worked out really well, considering. But it's good to know that we've got a bit more time now, and we can kind of really solidify our plans and stuff.
Oh, well, thank you for taking the time out of your day to do this. We finally got it done.
Yeah, it was good. He was, I remember during the Olympics when they were there, because we hosted those, the 2010 Winter Olympics. And I think it was him in goal when we beat USA in the final. I was actually at the game because I was working, and we were in the kitchen. And the head chef was just like, it's gone into overtime. Let's go. We're going out to watch it. So we went out on like the handicap balcony, and all the like chefs were just there in our chef clothes and chef hats. And I remember when Crosby scored, it was just like crazy scenes. But I remember the whole time during that Olympics, everyone was talking smack about Luongo being like, oh, he's not clutch, like he's not going to do this. And then we go and end up winning it all. It was good.
That's great. That's what, not that you dream about getting slated as an athlete. I imagine that's one of the things, that redemption.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
That was scene.
Imagine, and you as a Canadian, imagine you were going crazy as well.
Oh, it was nuts. Like the whole Olympics was really cool, but like I worked at that's how I got the job at the Canucks place, because I started there during the Olympics, and they were doing like 3 games a day. And so like the shifts, I was doing the kitchen stuff. So I didn't really get to see, like on my break and stuff, you'd get to walk around, and it was really cool just being in the atmosphere. But I didn't get to see a lot of the games. So that being at that game, because I used to get off work, and if I did the night shift, I'd be getting off like 10:30 or something. And I'd go out to like the village, to like the Olympic Village outside it. And there was one guy, this scalper tried to go get me to buy tickets for him. And they were selling them for like $8,000, some of the gold medal hockey tickets. Like they were crazy expensive. And to say like I got to just go there because I was just there, like we got to go watch the moment. That was really cool. There's actually there's a photo we're all holding Canada flags and we're all on our chef's hats.
That's amazing. Could you feel like I imagine the crowd there is loud anyway. Could like you feel the rumble in the kitchens and stuff?
Yeah, it was so loud. You could hear everything. Because I was on like the concourse level for that. So like if I walked right out, I could walk right out to where the stands were and everything. It was just crazy atmosphere. Just all of Vancouver at the time. I think I was like 18. So I was just not old enough to go to the bars because our age is 19. But it was still, there were so many places that were all ages, and like they had just outside the stadium, there was like Quebec House, Ontario House. They had all these different houses for like, and you could go in and it's all the culture from there. But they also had like Ireland House and like Germany House, and they had them all dispersed around the downtown, and you could go watch all the events. And some of them were really cool. Okay, I'll do my best. When I go home for winter too, I'll get my dad to show me some of the moves.
I think you already had it. Like I said, when you stood in the corridor and you were doing the stick handling, I was like, okay. This
Yeah, we used to just play street hockey. Like my dad would chuck his goalie pads on me and chuck me in, and my brothers would have at her.
Yeah. So have you ever gone in hockey goal? Like hockey goal then?
Ice hockey, no, but I played floor hockey in like loads, like for fun and in leagues. And like we won when I was in uni during the off season. Some of the players, like we put a team in and we ended up winning it.
Did you go in goal for that as well then?
I don't usually. So I went in the beginning because they're like, oh, obviously you're a keeper, you should go in goal. But it's like different. It's different. It's floor hockey, and to be like, I'm better at the stick handling thing. And so like my teammate on that team, she played for the tennis team at our uni, and she's Canadian, but she actually plays ice hockey like at home, like she properly plays. So she has the like wickedest shot. So I would be like the playmaker going up the whole court, and then I'd pass her the through ball and she'd put it top ends. So that was good. But like the second I came out, and because I was letting in some pretty bad goals, not gonna lie. But I was like, let me go up front, come on. And then they're like, all right, you can play out. Oh, my dad used to like hammer it into us because he'd take us skating loads. Like that was kind of like how people take their kids for like a kickabout and stuff. Like back home, we'd always go to the ice rink. Like my dad would get ice time. They'd have like a recreational thing. So we'd go skating or playing ice hockey, and like stopping properly. That's like one thing that he really was like, no, do it like this. Like,
did you ever skate outdoors on like a lake or anything?
No, so in the West Coast, not really, because the weather's too mild. But on the East Coast, my older brother, because it used to be we used to get colder winters, but he's skated on a pond in BC. But
it's the most incredible experience.
Oh, I know. That's why it's more widespread on the East Coast, because like it's really expensive in Vancouver. Like to the facilities, you have to get ice time, and like just the costs are really high. So it's kind of more. You have to be a bit more of an affluent family to take your kids, especially if you've got multiple kids. Whereas on the East Coast, you can just go to the lake, go to the pond. Like anyone can do it, really.
Yeah, I imagine that'd be just the coolest experience. Like just to go and do it once would be the coolest thing.
I think it'd be cool, but I'd be terrified that I'd fall through the ice, because knowing my luck, that would be me.
If you find the one thin spot on the ice, just go through it.
Be that person that just dies in the water. Like,
I'm sure you get back out of the water.
Yeah, true. To be fair, we do go swimming in like freezing water. Like at home, they call it like Indian bath. Like the natives, on my dad's side of the family, that's like a big thing on the res. They go jump in the river. Thank you for that, because I Skyped my brother last night, and he was like, "You're sounding like," I think some of the colloquialisms I use and like the way I say certain things, he's like, "Stop it, you sound like a Brit." And I'm like, I clearly sound Canadian.
Have you used the word duck yet in any? Have you got that?
No, I would not. I will not.
You say that now.
I refuse.